Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, and UN Sustainable Development Goals 2015 and 30 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute and Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue to today's session. Today, we are commemorating few days. We'll briefly look into each one of them. As we know, we have been discussing this entire week as is being celebrated as World Breastfeeding Week, and also International Day for Assistance Dogs, as well as entire week is also celebrated as a commemoration towards honoring the assistance dogs. And today is Hiroshima Day. You know, it is an anti-nuclear day to promote peace politics against the war. And we have Farm Workers Appreciation Day to raise awareness of these often forgotten bastions of the economy and remind us to be thankful for hard-working laborers. Today is also Cycle to Work Day to encourage people to use cycle to work. These all are contributing to the sustainable development and reducing pollution. So let's look into each one of it. Yeah. So today, let's first look into this Hiroshima Day. Before just second. This year marks the 77th anniversary commemoration of Hiroshima Day. So it is observed annually on the 6th of August on the anniversary of atomic bombing of Hiroshima in 1945 by America. So on this day, 1945, the American bomber Enola Gay dropped a 5-ton atomic bomb equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb destroyed 4 square miles of the city and killed more than 80,000 people. In the weeks following, thousands more died from the wounds and radiation poisoning. President Harry Truman, who has assumed office less than 4 months earlier, claimed that he made the decision to drop the bomb after being told by his advisors that dropping the bomb would end the war quickly and would avoid the need to invade Japan, so which would result in the deaths of a million American soldiers. This version of the history does not hold up to scrutiny. Several months later, General Douglas MacArthur, Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in the Southwest Pacific Asia, has sent a 40-page memo to the President to the President Roosevelt that summarized 5 different offers of surrender from high-ranking Japanese officials. The USA, however, knew that the Russians had made significant advances in the east and in all likelihood would be in Japan by September, well before US could mount an invasion. If this were to pass, Japan would surrender to Russia, not the US. So this was unacceptable to the US, which had already developed a post-war strategy of economic and geopolitical hegemony. So despite strong opposition from the military and political leaders and Japan's willingness to surrender, the bomb was dropped. And many have called this first act of Cold War. Dwight D. Dwight D. Eisenhower said years later, Japan was already defeated. Dropping the bomb was completely unnecessary. So, in the power game, Japan's Hiroshima and Nagasaki cities were destroyed completely, and even today the radiation effects are widely visible. So the atomic bomb, Little Boy, detonated on Hiroshima in Japan, killed more than 80,000 people instantly. This marked the first use of atomic weapons in the war. And Hiroshima Day is observed on August 6th every year to raise awareness of the disastrous effects of the atom bomb and need to promote peace politics among nations. It is a day to remember the usage of nuclear weapon and its devastating effects on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The incident took place in 1945 and resulted in many deaths and heavy aftermath as well. In the memory of all people who lost their lives, August 6th is remembered as Hiroshima Day. The commemoration of Hiroshima Day is extremely important because it serves as a reminder of the atrocities that were committed in 1945, the final year of World War II. According to the Quebec Agreement, the United States dropped the Little Boy uranium gun-type bomb on Hiroshima with the United Kingdom's approval. On August 9th, another bomb was also dropped on Nagasaki. The mortality toll from the attacks ranged from 1,29,000 to 2,26,000. Many scholars believe that it is important to remember the impact of an event as such so that humankind never uses atomic bombs ever again in the future. So Hiroshima was a blooming city that had both industrial and military significance for Japan. And it was probably why the Allied forces decided to bomb this city first. Kokura and Nagasaki were the other targets as well on that day. On the day of August 6th, Squadron B-29 Enola Gay bomber jet took flight for Hiroshima and dropped the bomb. Many people reported having seen a bright flash of light as atomic bomb detonated. So the bomb killed more than 80,000 to 1,50,000 people on impact, and several others suffered due to its devastating effects. Many people also died following the year due to the effects of burns, radiation sickness, and other injuries. Many scientists report that the children in the city are still born with birth defects due to radiation. And NASA also reveals that it is more powerful by the visual imagery. It is also reported that post-attack casualties, cancer, leukemia also increased among the survivors and the next generation of people, all due to the bombing that took place on that fateful day. Even a harsh impact on brain development was also noticed in the people of Japan for years after the incident. As new arms are as new arms race is picking up, the UN chief Antonio Guterres said on Saturday in Hiroshima, as the world remembers the horrors of the first atomic bomb attack on the 77th anniversary, tens of thousands of people were killed in the city in the blink of an eye. Women, children, and men were incinerated in a hellish fire, he said in the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Nuclear weapons are nonsense. 3/4 of the century later, we must ask what we have learned from the mushroom cloud that swelled above this city in 1945. The UN chief underlined. He also mentioned Ukraine war, which started on 24. Crises with grave nuclear undertones are spreading fast from the Middle East to the Korean Peninsula to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Humanity is playing with a loaded gun, he cautioned. The world has been on the edge ever since Ukraine war started amid fears of Russian President Vladimir Putin resorting to the use of nuclear weapons. And the war is in seventh month, yet there had been no signs of ceasefire. In the reminder to the world, the UN chief further said, we must keep the horrors of Hiroshima in view at all the times, recognizing there is only one solution to the nuclear threat, not to have nuclear weapons at all. The UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons has been endorsed by 122 nations and became international law for more than 51 ratifying states on January 22, 2021. Regrettably, Canada boycotted negotiations in 2017 and has refused to sign or ratify this landmark treaty. Nuclear weapons, along with the climate change and pandemics, are the greatest threats facing human civilization. An exchange of even 1% of the global arsenal of 13,400 nuclear weapons would kill tens of millions of people. It would plunge the planet into a nuclear winter and result in widespread famine, killing billions more. The world was not adequately prepared for the COVID-19 pandemic. The International Committee of Red Cross asserts that it is impossible to prepare for nuclear holocaust. Humanity's only hope is prevention through elimination of nuclear weapons. Canadians have a right to know and to hear from our national leaders how nuclear weapons could impact the human health, healthcare systems, the environment, the economy, the global biosphere, and the future of life on Earth. The undersigned therefore respectfully call upon the of Canada to have a parliament debate on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and to allow the House of Commons Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development to hold public hearings on the treaty and on Canada's role in advancing global nuclear disarmament. On January 22, 2021, the date the TPNW entered into force, the HNDC coordinated a three-page spread in Ottawa Hill Times that was endorsed by 110 groups and 330 individuals. This initiative called upon the Government of Canada to have the Parliament debate the TPNW and to allow the House of Commons Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development to hold public hearings on the treaty and on Canada's role in advancing global disarmament. The threat posed by nuclear weapons is of major concern to Canadians, according to the new poll released by Nanos Research. The poll results show that Canadians are very positive about key solutions that disarmament movement have been advocating, and the Canadians are action oriented in responding to the nuclear threat. So let's quickly look at what is the impact. Give me a few seconds. I will think there is some audio problem.
I saw an aircraft, like a tiny silver drop, entering the sky above Hiroshima. I instantly recognized it as an American plane, as no Japanese aircraft could fly at that altitude at the time. It was just one plane, so I assumed that it was passing by as usual.
And I was counting. 1, 2, 3.
I was wiping the desktop. That was when the bomb was dropped.
It took about 45 seconds from the time the bomb left the airplane until it exploded. And I think there wasn't a man in the airplane that wasn't either timing it with his watch or counting or doing something. I was sure the bomb was a dud. I was sure it wasn't going to work.
After falling for 43 seconds, the time and barometric triggers started the firing mechanism. A uranium bullet fired down a barrel into a uranium target. Together, they started a nuclear chain reaction. Solid matter began to come apart, releasing untold quantities of energy.
That was the impact that was created by the Hiroshima bomb that was dropped by US on Japan, Hiroshima State.
On 6th August 1945, American bomber Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb, called as Little Boy, was equivalent to the power of 15,000 tons of TNT and left a terrifying mushroom cloud.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT.
A city died and 80,000 of its inhabitants were wiped out. The lingering effects of the atomic bomb would affect people for years to come. This was the first time that atomic weapons had been used in war. This changed the world, and just 3 days later, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. Nazi Germany was researching on nuclear weapons. The US had been working on developing an atomic weapon since 1940. Then in July 1945, the US conducted its first test in a desert in New Mexico. By then, the war was over. Germany had already been defeated, but the war against Japan in the Pacific continued. President Truman was advised to not invade Japan, so Truman ordered the use of this new weapon to bring an end to the war. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's unconditional surrender over radio.
Of Japan and the Japanese government and the Japanese Imperial General Headquarters to sign the instrument of surrender at the places indicated.
In popular culture, the movie Godzilla depicted Hiroshima bombing. In the original film, Godzilla was aggravated by a hydrogen bomb. In other versions, instead of a bomb, the fictional creature of a giant dinosaur destroys Tokyo. Japanese movie audiences left the theaters in tears. But Americans had the opposite reaction, finding comedic value in the movie. Other art inspired by the bombings was used for atomic-themed products.
私にも嫁にも孫たちにも平和のありがたさ、今の現状はずっと母は伝えてたので、8月6日ここに来ることによってまた母にも会えるし。
Since then, people visit the Peace Park in Hiroshima to pray, sing, and offer paper cranes as a symbol of peace. The peace bell sounds at the exact moment the bomb exploded. An annual floating lantern ceremony is also held to commemorate the event. The first ceremony was held in 1947.
For more informative videos like this,
the effects of atomic and nuclear bombs like that are very severe. We will also take up on 9th, we have Nagasaki, where the US has dropped the second atomic bomb on Japan. So on that day, we will discuss in detail the various impacts of atomic and nuclear weapons and how they are destroying the planet and creating a lot of pollution and insecurity among the nations which have the divide of having or not having these nuclear energies and nuclear powers or weapons for that matter. With this, we'll conclude this topic here. Then we'll move on to our next topic, commemorating. Today, we are also commemorating National Farmers Appreciation Day to raise awareness of these often forgotten bastions of the economy and remind us to be thankful for hardworking laborers. You know, ours is an agrarian country and agrarian economy, and most of the population of our country, or for that matter, in the rest of the world also, mostly people are dependent on various activities, and especially, you know, this malnutrition and scarcity of food, because many peoples also contribute to prevention through working in farms, and like farmers are the greatest assets of the nation, or for that matter for the planet, who continuously keep on their routine of production so that they can feed the planet. So National Farm Workers Day is a day to celebrate and to be grateful and express our gratitude for the hard work that farmers do to keep us fresh food coming. Vegetables, herbs, staples, groceries, and all come out of farm. And it is also sometimes hard to remember how lucky we are to have this access of fresh produce, and we are somewhat disconnected from the roots, literally, of our food when we see it all packed up in the supermarkets. So on this day, we are reminded to thank farmers. Of course, this is in US context, Western context, but we in India have Farmers Day. We have many celebrations like Krishi Din and Krishi Utsav, a lot of days commemorated, and we have festivals also, a lot of festivals, especially the Pongal festival or Sankranti or Bihu. That is a harvest festival. You know, it's celebrated across the country in a very grand manner, where farmers harvest their crops and bring to the homes and celebrate, and also that is where when the markets are flooded with abundant of food crops. So that is when the new crop comes. We have a different context altogether, but the basic concept is same: to appreciate and express gratitude towards the farmers and farmer workers. So farming and agriculture have been a huge part of keeping humanity thriving since we were intelligent enough to cultivate food. In fact, the act of farming has been traced back to a long era. As far as we know, the first society to actively engage in farming on a large scale was as back as early to Sumerians, who had a labor force specializing in farming. And they also constructed irrigation methods to grow their crops, and also had an strict harvesting patterns across the year. So we can see even in our nation, I mean, in Indus civilization also, the foremost civilizations on the planet have also used agriculture, and were producing food. And they also constructed, we can see even in the Mohenjo-daro, Harappa civilizations and Indus civilizations, which were under evacuation, I mean, which were being studied by the Archaeological Survey of India and other international organizations. They have also shown us the evidences of agriculture also, and the kind of irrigation systems they used. So and various irrigation methods and agriculture practices at those times. So it dates back to quite early, quite long years ago, since inception of our humans. So farm workers are those in fields picking up crops and looking after animals with the advances of technology. You know, there's good old days, in those days where there were no tractors available or no mechanical equipment available, we were using these cows, bulls, not cows, but bulls and all these animals for plowing the land. And we use this fertilizer, this cow dung and cattle, especially cattle dung, urine, all as natural organic fertilizers. So in those days, due to lack of technology, or we are having a different kind of technology, in fact, a sustainable technology, where it was there was no much pollution, and every practice contributed to the environment. But nowadays we see a lot of fertilizers being used, and they also take their way to everything. I mean, from water flowing from the fields, they get into the main source of main streams of water, and that water is being again consumed by us. So a lot of remnants and carried away by the fertilizers directly get into the crops, as well as through water it is getting into us. So a lot of side effects are coming, illness, diseases, especially cancers are widely because of this. And a lot of animals are also getting affected, and the land is getting polluted, soil, and all these are side effects of the modern technology. But you know, even now, after so much of technology, we see a lot of farm workers and farmers are putting their day and night together to make produces year long, so that they can feed the entire planet. And we can also talk about farm workers, especially. They have a very broad meaning. They also include farmers and also the laborers, agricultural laborers or farm laborers, who take part in any of the activities of the agriculture and allied activities for producing crops, or for maintaining crops, or harvesting the crops, or for the pre and post harvesting, and various other practices or activities include. And you know, we are complaining about whatnot, sitting in our offices, say we don't have AC, and we don't want to work more than 8 hours, and we want everything. But farmers, poor farmers, they are the ones who feed all of us. You know, one day if we don't eat, what will happen to us? But farmers, day and night, they get, they whole day work in the scorching heat of sun, and get drenched in the rain, and get and even work in the coldest times, day and night. You know how much work they are doing. In front of them, we are doing nothing actually, in spite of no infrastructure. I mean, no facilities. Even they don't have even 1% of facilities we have, but they are more dedicated than we are. We don't have that, even 1% of their dedication also, when compared to them. How much work they are doing, how much dedicatedly, committedly, sincerely they are doing, with persistence. You know, they don't give up. Even they run into losses also, years together also. Even if they are affected by the adversities, they always go back and have with a positive and optimistic attitude and perspective towards it, because they know if they stop doing that, entire world will die with hunger. So they are the greatest noble souls on the planet who don't think of themselves but who think of others. So they are the most deserved human beings on the planet. Now if we don't get paid, we don't go to work. But without any payment, without any facilities, without any benefits, they work day and night. And that too, they do such a hard work. They don't have any missions. And even after that, we are not also willing to pay for the price. Minimum price is also, and lot of problems are there which are affecting farmers or farm workers. They do not have a minimum wages. So all these are contributing to their hardships. And in spite of that, they are the ones who work hard, and we are the ones who are enjoying their benefits. And the middlemen, of course, they are making profits, and even the farmer is not benefiting, and the end user is also not benefiting. Farmers, farm workers are putting their blood to get the farm produce, and see what these are various challenges, issues they are being faced, and even working outside for long periods in all kinds of climates, day and night, and the bending, crouching needed for the harvesting. Not to mention the dangers of using farm machinery and being around some big and easily riled animals can be a very tough job on farm workers. So National Farm Workers Day is about thanking and expressing our gratitude and recognizing the efforts of farmers and farm workers for their hard work. And by supporting farmers and farm workers is a great way to express our gratitude and doing advocacy for them whenever there is an issues and challenges, and improving facilities. They never ask. We ask for, that is the difference between rural society and urban society. What we ask, we need entertainment centers, amusement centers, and whatnot. But when we look at the rural economy, or for that matter, rural areas, they ask for this infrastructure, the roads and the markets, local markets, the availability of inputs like seeds, and organic fertilizers, and basic tools for agriculture, and electricity, so that they can draw water using pumps, or the irrigational facilities. What they are asking and what we are asking. There are a lot of things we have to learn from the farmers, when compared to the efforts and how much we are supporting them. We also need to think, because today we are eating something that is only because of the farmer. If the farmers declare a crop holiday for entire year, that's all gone. Half of the world will die with hunger, starving. 1 year, just you imagine, you declare, even in COVID times, they are the ones who were working. Entire world is taking rest, but they are the ones who were working so that we can eat and we can feed ourselves, and they were feeding the entire world. So such a great people who are at work, and what kind of support we are providing them, what kind of resources we are providing them. They are the first ones to be taken care of. If any benefit has to go, they are the first thing. We often many times criticize of waivers of loans. but how many of other loans to other industries are being waived off? And we are thinking and we are criticizing the loan waivers also when farmers face so much of natural calamities and man-made calamities and how much they suffer without any benefits, and they are working continuously in the farm for us, and we are not even considerate. We also start criticizing also. Of course, there might be people who own landlords who own thousands or hundreds of acres, or who is also, but always there is an exception, you know, always there are some lines where there is a cutoff, and all those things are very important. So these are various issues and challenges faced by these farm workers, and recent agriculture bills, even when we talk with respect to India, you know, how many farmer suicides are committed, and what is the solution for that? The existing laws which were not even catering to that, so new laws were brought. Of course, we are not supporting them as it is. Many suggestions, I mean, many changes have to be done. Even that has been given by the academic committee, and also, from the academicians, from the practitioners, from the farmers communities. I mean, they could have made changes, but ultimately they lose, the farmers lose the battle, you know. They think they have won the battle, but in fact, they are the ones who lost their opportunities. And, you know, with that, what will happen? They will continue to suffer. And that will also impact the economy. And now what has happened? I mean, the situations are same, and they are not going to change, and people are going to exploit them, and they have very restricted movement. Of course, one side, there is a critical way of understanding that they are empowering corporates rather than farmers through different kind of thing, but that is required in a different context. You know, we need to balance both industry as well as the farmers. So, I mean, most of the things are very good, but unfortunately, few things are there which can be changed, which was also accepted, but you know, things are. I mean, there are different kinds of people with vested interest, you know, not being political, but for all good things, there are people also who suppose for the fact, and there is nothing else but to being in opposition, to oppose on, no matter whether it is a good one or a bad one. So, irrespective of any political party, today one party may be in power, tomorrow same party will be in opposition. That has been seen in the history. No party is always in power, or no party is always in opposition. So it's quite common for everyone. In fact, every party, and no party has an exception to that. But even all the parties which are in ruling or in the opposition have criticized, irrespective of whether that is good or bad. Only criticism or opposition is the agenda they have, in spite of having. Very few are exceptional. They supported, in spite, only their focus was to support the farmers, and whatever move that was beneficial to the farmers was appreciated, in spite of being in opposition also. But unfortunately, things was different this time, and we have to see in coming days what is the impact of that, whether the suicides will continue to increase or decrease, and what is going to be the impact, whether the farmers will continue to survive and make at least some profits, and if not profits also at times, they can at least get the minimum expenditure they have invested in the farms. All we have to see, the time will disclose everything. So we need to wait and watch whether the decision to react or to repeal the laws would be beneficial for everyone or not. The time will say. So these are various reforms. Why we are talking about these laws or acts is definitely we need to bring reforms. Maybe every law, if you see every act or every bill, has its own limitations. For some people it may be good, for some people it may be bad, some people it may be worst, some may be getting more benefit and some may be getting less benefit. So whenever, see, there is nothing like constant. Even our constitution is also not so, I mean, we did not keep it as it is, right? We have a lot of amendments that were happening as the time passes, as the society changes, as the needs changes. So similar way, we need to be flexible and we need to keep adapting to the new requirements. We need to make laws. Okay, what happens if today a law comes and in the process of implementation, if there are any hardship, if there are any loopholes, definitely there is a scope when a new law can be brought, that can be also taken away after implementation by seeing the hardships, if any, or loopholes any, if it is not serving the purpose. But without even getting implemented and without even inviting them, I mean, that was a huge cry all over nation. Maybe I am not against, I am not supporting, but there is at least some hope that at least as a health professional, we see that a lot of health issues and suicides of farmers move us a lot. So at least we thought this could provide some relief in a perspective. I mean, we also have different perspectives, but anyway, we have to see. That's what maybe the next year's statistics will know whether it has really contributed, the repeal has benefited or has created further loss. Maybe we will come to know in another year or so. So, yeah. And there were few genuine concerns, but we cannot say that, or we cannot attribute that these laws will are aggravating those, because the world is changing so much, and now you can see the entire distribution chains, which the recent Supreme Court also, if you have seen, this Reliance versus Amazon, this legal tug of war, things are changing. There is nothing stagnant. Those who were top fortune companies were no longer now existing. So a couple of them. So things are changing. We can't say that today this law, if comes into act, these laws comes into act and tomorrow will not change. Even without that also, as an economist, as an educationist, if we see things are changing, even if without these laws implemented also, those concerns are not, are going to come true. Then at that time, what people will do now. So this is what we have to think, that for anything to happen, there is no single cause. There are a lot of factors: physiological, psychological, emotional, social, economical, cultural, geographical, demographical factors, and political factors, and international relations. Lot of things are there for a development to take place, or for a change to take place, for a trend to set in, or a trend to set off. So just by considering that one law will change this or one law will change that, that can have its own repercussions. So these are various, why we are talking about all this, whether we will be able to extend our support to our fellow farmers who are providing us food, nutrition, and also farm workers who are assisting the farmers in the production process. So that is what, so hope with an optimistic, positive attitude and aptitude and perspectives towards farmers. Let's wish them all happy Farm Workers' Day. So you could visit a farm to understand, or an agriculture land to, you can personally see what kind of hardships are there and what kind of requirements they need and how do we support them. Maybe they require some aids or tools or some irrigation systems, agriculture systems running, and cold storage systems, food processing systems, these distribution systems, marketing systems, and also markets for purchasing and transportation. A lot of issues are there, that needs to be improved so that the total cost will come down. As the production increases, the cost will come down, and the wastage is also reduced. You can see many times these tomatoes, many times they are thrown on the roads because, the cost of transportation is more than the actual production cost or the actual cost of tomatoes and various, and they are perishable because, unless and until it is taken raw, otherwise in a ripe situation, they are prone to soon perishable. So what can be done? We can use value additions, value food processing, where these vegetables and perishable items are made into powder or processed. You get in abroad and even India, you see this amchur, all mango powder and even vegetable powders. In a similar way, we can also hydrate this tomato, and we can use this tomato powder in curry, in making curries and other cuisines. See, this is what required basically. Where we have to understand in a productive way that wastage should be reduced. When we are having excess food or when we are unable to utilize them, we need to immediately store them in cold storage systems. They need to be stored in a perfect temperature, perfect climate, and perfect environment, so that they don't get spoiled. So that whenever there is a shortage, so those can be released into markets that will control the price. At the same time, it will benefit the farmers and the farm workers. So these are the things that need to be understood in a very positive way. So hope we will all contribute by supporting the causes whenever, to whatever extent we can extend our support and express our gratitude towards the farmers and farm workers. So that is one day. So we'll conclude this topic here. We'll move on to next topic. Cycle to Work Day. Recently, even in India also, we started working on carpooling and other things which would benefit everyone. Just a second. Yeah. You know the benefits of cycling. Every day we can use cycle. That will provide multiple benefits to all of us. Especially this is in commemoration with respect to UK concept, but in UK, Cycle to Work Day is a sort of big deal. As you know, the summer gives way to fall each year. Citizens leave their car keys on the hook and grab a helmet instead of cars so that they can mix up the morning commutes. Childhood bliss of pedaling to victory doesn't have to be lost in the past, with the celebration of, at least on this date, it is good for us, the environment, and also the old bikes or cycles collecting dust in the garbage or garage can hit the roads on this day. This concept actually of cycle to work day, especially when we are talking with the context of UK, the concept of carving out of one day a year to hop in the saddle and pedal to the office originated in 1956 with the League of American Bicyclists. So what began as a single day soon ballooned into an entire week and then an entire national bike month. So which now occurs in May of each year. As far as more approachable cycle to work day, the Kingdom, that UK took over the idea and really gave a community boost in 2011. They even started an organization based on the holiday. And during the World War II, the US as well as many other countries experienced a gas shortage among civilians due to high demands of active military organizations. This resulted in the stuff being rationed so that people could no longer hop in driver's seat when they needed to get somewhere with the gas shortage or the fuel shortage. So in the face of gasoline shortage, many citizens took up walking or biking as a new fuel-free method of transportation. So in 1956, when the League of American Bicyclists established the idea, they were attempting to revive a healthier time by coaxing citizens to dust off their decade-old machines and get to pedaling. So today, cycle to work has taken an entirely different meaning as greenhouse gases damage the equanimity of its environment, and driving petroleum-fueled vehicles has much more graver implications. By ditching the engine and mounting the bike, people all across the world are able to come together to minimize excess waste of natural gas and also sustaining their physical health. When we look at the history, Baron Karl von Drais from Germany invents the first bicycle and names it Laufmaschine or running machine. So in 1817, that is called as running machine, our bicycles. And in later, the League of American Bicycles came up with an idea of switching cars for bikes on the day of a year during the usual work commute times in 1956. And employees across the UK cycled to work on their first official cycle to work day in 2011. And in 2020, due to worldwide pandemic that has forced a great portion of workforce to do their jobs from work home, Cycle to Work Day is jokingly named as Cycle to Who, What, Where Day. But yeah, still cycling remains a healthy way, not only for us, for our planet, and also for our environment. So, how do we encourage or promote And how do you signal other drivers or riders for that matter, and what kind of clothing or what kind of facilities we need to arrange for the bikers. First thing is, in order to avoid unnecessary discomforts while cycling, make sure your cycle is in correct condition, and be sure to wear shorts or pants long enough to cover the inner thighs and short enough to avoid tangling with the pedals. Also consider purchasing a reflective vest if you know you'll be cycling at night, or have some reflective tapes or objects on the front and back, if possible on the sides of the cycle. That will alert the especially other peddlers or other commuters or other vehicles. It will provide an indication. While cycling to work, use the left arm fully extended to signal a left turn, and the left arm extended in L shape to signify the right turn. And you can also ask your employer what are the best practices for bike storage, because when you carry your bikes to your office, you also need a place, to protect them, to park them. So either we can recommend keeping their bike in their office or in a public parking place where it can be locked to a light post or a railing outside the office building. So the best way what we can do to contribute to the environment and commemorate to the event is to purchase or borrow or unearth an old bicycle and use it as a transportation for the day and for the rest of the days. Remember to bring a helmet and follow all traffic signals, including stop signs, and have headgear and all other gears if required. That will help. And teach a loved one to cycle. Not everyone knows how to ride a two-wheel bicycle, believe it or not. If you are a remote worker or simply don't have to commute, you would be just as well off teaching someone how to ride a bicycle who doesn't already have that skill. So this way, one more person will feel confident to celebrate this day and also able to maintain his health through cycling. And this is a great opportunity also to support business that are bicycle friendly, who keep parking racks near the entrances to keep bikers' equipment safe. And bike maintenance is 20 times cheaper than the car maintenance. And when bicycles first went on sale to the public, they were called velocipedes. And the bicycles save 238 million gallons of fuel each year. So reduces fuel consumption, at the same time prevents greenhouse gas emissions and carbon dioxide emissions, carbon emissions. And to reduce the risk of heart diseases and stroke, obesity, doctors recommend cycling. And with the same amount of energy spent walking, humans can actually cycle 3 times faster. And a slower pace means more sightseeing. When driving, the scenery of our home, cities, areas, towns can flash by the window in mere seconds. But when we are using some vehicle like cars, but when cycling, since cycling decreases the commuter's velocity considerably, all those lovely details are much more easier to capture. So that will contribute to the more of sightseeing And when we cycle to work, we are much more likely to find new digs and dives for visiting after the work that we may have never noticed them. And cycling is also a multi-purpose activity. It translates the energy of a footstep into a much faster lurch forward, but it also requires our bodies to use and strengthen our muscles in order to propel us to the desired destination. And workers who may not have the spare time to hit the gym can use cycling as a double whammy activity to get work and get the heart rate up to upon his beloved contraption. So it can be a new hobby. Runners, yogis, muscle heads, swimmers. There is a massive community of hobby cyclists in about just every country on earth. We love that one cycle to work day could reveal to someone their new favorite hobby or pastime and also plug them into health-oriented community. So a dedicated website to celebrate with a logo which you have already seen on our flyers, and it has been massive success over the last decade. Thousands of commuters have made switch to cycling to work. They got fitter, reduced their stress levels, saved loads of money on commuting cost, which has never been more important, and done their bit for the environment. So this year, whether you are already a committed cycle commuter or just starting out on your journey, get on your bike, get to work the best way you can. So with this, we shall conclude this topic. Lastly, we will as this entire week is breast week, so we'll take up one more topic for just 10 or 15 minutes. We have some time. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about issues and challenges in breastfeeding. Right? We completed. What else is left? If you have anything, if you would like to know anything, just put in chat box so that I can explain. Let me also think over what can be presented in breastfeeding. Okay, let's look into the network of these in India. What are the organizations working for promotion of breastfeeding? And also, we will look into that. So, okay. We have already covered in breastfeeding about infant and young child feeding, malnutrition, newborns, and improving their survival and well-being. With breastfeeding, we have already covered. Apart from that, there are a few organizations working over there is one organization by name BPNI. Okay, right. Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India was founded on 3rd December 1991 at Wardha, Maharashtra. There are many organizations. I'm just giving about this and we're looking. So BPNI is a registered independent non-profit national organization working towards protecting, promoting, and supporting breastfeeding and appropriate feeding of infants and young children. So BPNI acts on the targets of Innocenti declarations, conventions and rights of the child, in short CRC, International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes, and the Global Strategy for the Infant and Young Child Feeding as per WHO 2022. BPNI's core areas of work include policy advocacy to educate policymakers and managers, training of health workers, capacity building of state governments for implementing the policy, social mobilization during World Breast Week and each year, and monitoring compliance with the infant milk substitutes, feeding bottles and infant foods, regulation of production, supply and distribution Act 1992 and Amendment Act 2003. In short, IMS Act. So BPNI is notified in the Gazette of India as a child welfare NGO to initiate action under Section 21 of the IMS Act for officially monitoring and implementing IMS Act since 1995. So this organization, that is Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India, is also notified in the Gazette of India as a child welfare NGO to initiate action under Section 21 of the IMS Act. So this is official monitoring and implementing organization since 1995. So over the years, BPNI has played the role of watchdog organization and exposed several big baby food brands on how they undermine this IMS Act. You know, these many formula milk companies or the baby food companies, they promote, they are discouraging a kind of breastfeeding practices and promoting these bottle milk, formula milk practices for their profit. So, but which is, we have seen in the past 1 week almost. So what are the benefits of breastfeeding? They continue to suffer due to lack of proper immunity. So it is very important to have breastfeeding continue, and also the benefits of breastfeeding also to promote. So BPNI coordinates and facilitates the education and training of grassroots personnel in the health and nutrition sector and private hospitals through skilled counseling as a sustainable support to mother-baby dads. And also their training alliances include the National Health Mission, NHM, and Integrated Child Development Scheme, ICDS. So BPNI training courses are self-sustained And BPNI works in close liaison with the Government of India and is recognized for its technical expertise and credible standing on the issues concerns of the child health and nutrition. BPNI's contribution in earlier 5 years plans, documents and restructures of ICDS mission document for the Government of India are golden feathers in its cap. So BPNI holds major contribution in the development of national guidelines on the infant and young child feeding 2004 and 2006 and operational guidelines for enhancing optimal infant and young child feeding practices 2013, and latest among these are guidelines for the MA program wherein BPNI provided critical inputs. BPNI is a technical partner to the country's very first nationwide program, MA, that is Mother's Absolute Affection for Breastfeeding Promotion, launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare Government of India on 5th August 2016. Other than the government, BPNI has been working in partnership with development partners like World Health Organization, UNICEF, World Bank, Norwegian and Swedish governments. So it is registered under Societies Act, and the rules and regulations are mentioned in the Memorandum of Association, and it is also registered under Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. And also donations to BPNI are eligible for tax exemption under ATG 5(6) of the IT Act 1961. And BPNI is also part of global network, the International Baby Food Action Network, IBFAN. IBFAN is a Right Livelihood Laureate. The award received in 1998, which is popularly known as the Alternative Nobel Prize. It serves as a regional coordinating office of South Asia to protect, promote, and support optimal infant and young child nutrition. As IBFAN, South Asia is an official relationship with the World Health Organization since 2013. So this BPNI is one of the largest networks and also an official recognized NGO by the government of India. So let's quickly, they also train a lot of training programs if you want to have information, or if you want to train, or if you want to create awareness about breastfeeding. They have a lot of training programs where you can use them for creating awareness. And there are few courses also, where which can be taken up by the social workers, counselors, and also Anganwadi workers and frontline workers to get trained. You can contact them and they will be happy to assist you. Let's quickly show you one video about BPNI, because nowadays, this is very much required. Let me quickly share so that we can conclude with this video.
It is a wonderful feeling when you become a mother for the very first time. Life becomes more beautiful than ever, and your child becomes your top priority.
Motherhood एक तरह से caring word है जो आपको सिखाता है कि एक बच्चे की कैसे केयर करनी है.
No soul can replace a mother's emotions. Nothing can bestow the warmth of mother's breastfeed.
मुझे अपने बच्चे के लिए बेस्ट करना है. बीइंग अ मदर मुझे इम्यून सिस्टम इसका स्ट्रॉन्ग करना है. मैंने इसको ब्रेस्ट फीड कराया. इवन 6 मंथ तक कंटिन्यूअसली मैंने ब्रेस्ट फीड किया और अभी भी मैं कंटिन्यू कर रही हूँ.
Exclusive breastfeeding is one of the key contributors for survival and health of children throughout the world. More than 1 million babies die every year because they are not breastfed. Till the age of 6 months, the baby needs breast milk, not anything else. It gives infants all the nutrients they need for healthy development. While the baby food industry is pushing formula milk to new mothers in subtle ways, there are voices of care uninfluenced by marketing forces and commercial gain.
Be aware of the dangers of formula feeding before choosing to give formula for your babies, as well as be aware of the advantages of breastfeeding.
Voices of change.
BPNI not just kept the issue of breastfeeding alive, but it also made dents in a paralytic government.
Voices like the Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India.
It's a credible voice in the field of breastfeeding and IYCF in our country.
BPNI has a very strict ethical policy of not receiving money from any commercial site. Where there is a conflict of interest, we don't take money. We are very selective in actually taking money. So government organizations we normally trust, and that's where our source of funding lies.
BPNI, the Light of Hope, was born in 1991 as an organized front for advocacy on breastfeeding.
It's both exciting and challenging. The journey has been so far in terms of developing the organization, developing the issue itself, reaching to a level that people understand.
With a vision to establish optimal infant and young child feeding in all societal communities, BPNI has dedicated itself to empower parents and women to exclusively breastfeed their children for the first 6 months of age and continue breastfeeding for 2 years and beyond, along with adequate and appropriate complementary feeding starting at 6 months.
There are basically 3 paradigms in which BPNI works. One is protection of breastfeeding, then promotion of breastfeeding, and then support of breastfeeding. In protection, we are a gazetted NGO for seeing the implementation of the IMS Act. We have to look into the violations of this Act and report it to the court of law.
Today, BPNI stands as a force that works through advocacy, social mobilization, information sharing, education, research, training, and monitoring the company compliance with the IMS Act.
We got a law that bans the promotion of baby foods commercially. That is probably something which we will leave behind actually for generations to come.
We do not see breastfeeding in isolation and rather work on various cross-cutting issues like gender, human rights, and climate change as well.
The Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India, that started with 4 members in 1991, now has more than 3,600 members in almost all the states of India.
It's quite rare in India to have doctors organize themselves to speak on public health issues or to be involved in social action. And I think BPNI is one of those unique fora where most of their participants are in fact either doctors, nurses, health professionals in some manner. So to be able to mobilize that particular group of people and to be able to engage with them, to expand their thinking beyond clinical medicine. I think that is one very important contribution that BPNI has made.
Health and nutrition is also an area where BPNI has made its presence felt.
I think that there has been a really significant contribution which has been made by BPNI in shaping the national agenda for nutrition in the country, including through support to designing the agenda for the PM's Council on India's Nutrition Challenges and universalization of maternity benefits for the draft National Food Security Bill.
Indian government is part of the global strategy to develop, implement, monitor and evaluate breastfeeding policies. As specified in its goals, BPNI is instrumental in the monitoring, promotion and execution of these policies. BPNI continues to help push forward the government's agenda for women and child protection.
Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India has really emerged as an international organization now. It's so popular that we have started working in all areas with BPNI, like a lot of symposium, training programs we have started. The last and most important work which we have done with BPNI is the World Breastfeeding Trend Initiative research.
Year after year, BPNI has led the initiative in the country to launch action during the World Breastfeeding Week and followed it up.
We do all kind of activities during the World Breastfeeding Week, social mobilization activities, in which the message of optimal infant and child feeding is spread to the community.
BPNI is now called to support governments in planning their action plans to support breastfeeding mothers.
BPNI has very strategically focused on the fact that one of the most important ways of tackling malnutrition is the most simple way that nature has decreed. The problem is so intractable, the problem of malnutrition, that it takes that kind of persistence and that kind of consistent effort to be able to bring it as a major policy decision which will impact by the instrument of the 12th plan, which will impact millions of children in this country.
BPNI offers solutions through its excellent training programs on capacity building in IYCF based on the guidelines provided by WHO and UNICEF.
There is something unique in this training. We use the principles, so it's like 20% by traditional teaching, the way we teach, another 40% we do teach by doing role plays, then clinical practice, and then it's ultimately let the participants who are being trained, let them do also a hands-on experience. That's how we inculcate all the principles basically in the training.
Its trainers and counselors work to effectively increase the breastfeeding rate. Through training of health workers and community volunteers, through its wide information network, research and publications, campaigns and schemes, BPNI has made waves in a very encouraging way.
Being very closely associated with BPNI, very closely working with them both in developing the training modules, and also doing some research because they're assisting us, providing some money for doing research.
In the international arena, BPNI serves the Regional Coordinating Office of International Baby Food Action Network IBFAN for Asia, which is a network of groups working to promote optimal infant and young child nutrition in over 25 countries. BPNI is also the regional focal point South Asia for World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action WABA. The way forward is full of hope.
BPNI has been on the right track and it should just continue.
The future is bright.
We are near the goal, very near the goal. Continue your efforts and I'm sure we will achieve the goal which is set not by Government of India but internationally.
The road is quite long, but they are on the right path.
The marketing forces are strong, but voices of reason and care will succeed as they have all these years.
We, being a watchdog organization, keep a check on these baby food industries as per the IMS Act and would continue doing so.
It's like an organization which doesn't believe in building empires. It's building a movement. If people want it, it will continue.
BPNI is on its way to bringing good health to your children.
So we have seen there are organizations working at every level to ensure that breastfeeding promotion is taking place and generation of breast milk and promoting the practice of breast milk and as well as the supply and support system for the breastfeeding. So with this we shall conclude today's sessions and I'll be sharing the feedback link in chat box. If you have any queries, feel free to ask or share in chat box while I am sharing the feedback link. And there is an important announcement from tomorrow onwards. There will the feedback form will be modified in such a way because you know there are some people, I mean some participants who are joining directly without registration, and we are not able to properly catch the data. And also we have been issuing certificates those who are not registered but also attending. There is one problem with that. We are giving based on the Zoom attendance we are issuing, but we are not having the data of them. So that is one concern, that many of certificates are still pending, and some even after that they are registered in one or more other events with us. So we have the data. So on that basis also we were issuing certificates, but some of them have not registered or not in any of the events, but we noticed that they are attending in Zoom by the name. So these are few challenges we are facing. So we request everyone to register and attend the programs. Otherwise, that's the reason we are modifying the feedback form also. So make sure you are filling the feedback form, because again we started, we wanted to try to help everyone, whoever is attending, but again, you know, without any data issuing certificate is also will cause problem in future verification. See, if at any time you want to use certificates, you want to claim that you have attended, again when it comes from for verification, we will not be able to provide any information except your name and the evidence that you have attended. We will not have any details. So it's always better you, whoever is attending, so register so that you will have, we will have the details of that and attend. If you have not yet registered also fine, no need to worry. You can always go back after filling the feedback form also, you can register. That's one thing. And we are also integrating the feedback form with the registration data also. So we are from tomorrow onwards, tomorrow is Sunday, we are having conference. So tomorrow we are leaving, from Monday onwards we will be having a new feedback form format where the registration data is also collected in the feedback form, so that we get the data and we'll be changing a little bit based on the suggestions. We'll also change the format little bit, and we'll try to simplify based on, we are also continuously learning and taking suggestions from everyone, but things are not everyone does in the same way. So that's creating a new set of challenges for us. Anyway, we will continue, and thank you everyone for joining us. Some of the certificates have been already updated, and we are still working on it. So most probably by tomorrow night, all the pending certificates will be updated, including today's also. We'll try to update by tomorrow night, so that there will be no pending certificates. So quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the webinar, and we thank you one and all and wish you all the success. So see you all tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the international conference. And the registration links are available on the website. You can visit the website, and or you can find it in our Facebook group, Telegram channel, or WhatsApp groups. The registration link, you can register and attend tomorrow. If you have any presentations to be made, you can contact us so that we can try to accommodate you. So see you all tomorrow at 11 o'clock with the same link, with the eminent speakers, presenters for tomorrow. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.